Well, hi, Tiffany. Dr. Tiffany Marie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you,
Happy
Jim?
Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. Happy middle of the week. Whatever
Hmm.
you want to call it. Happy.
Yes.
We're there. Hi there, folks. Welcome to our live stream. My name is Jim, and I used to be a type 2 diabetic, and I love saying, Dr. Tiffany, I bet I've said that 10,000 times. I don't think I'll ever get tired of saying it.
Hmm.
I used to be a type 2 diabetic. I have reversed type 2 diabetes. I'm in remission from type 2 diabetes. I have beat it. 5 years ago, just 5 years ago, that was kind of somewhat considered unattainable. And I've done it. And what we're seeing is a lot of people doing it. So I'm not by myself. I'm not special. A lot of people are doing this, but I'm in remission from it. I beat it. I'm in reversed it, whatever you want to call it. My doctor says that I reversed it. That was her words. And so I love doing live streams and talking about exactly that. And in addition to that, boy, I started going down a solo live stream kind of narrative there, Tiff. Could you hear it?
I see.
Could you hear it? I've been like
You
pre-programmed.
just kicked me off the show.
No, I was like, I got to stop right now. I've done that live stream about 20,000 times. So, but along those lines, I had really high blood pressure and really high cholesterol, like alarmingly high cholesterol, 459 LDL kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And today I'm completely unmedicated. And Dr. Tiff, I wear a continuous glucose monitor. I think you know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to just kind of share my CGM right now. I mean, that is just about as beautiful of a flat line as you can get. And for somebody that used to have a 12.2% A1C, that's the thing, is I used to have a 12.2%. I'm now a completely unmedicated 4.8, and I'm hovering along at 93. And in addition to that, Dr. Tiff, just a side note, and I'd be curious with anybody else who's diabetic, when I was heavily medicated and in the 90s, I felt awful.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely awful. I felt like the world was made of rushing water. It was atrocious. And so I don't know why I'm not live on TikTok. So this, I feel natural. I feel amazing, and I love doing live streams and talking about it. And along the way, I've met Dr. Tiffany. We have a mutual friend who she's going to talk about. But Dr. Tiff, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? And I'm going to figure out why we're not live on TikTok.
Yes. Well, hello, everybody. I'm so excited you are on the live today. I love doing this because, like Jim says, he's no longer a diabetic. I am no longer a physician prescribing medications first. I'm actually trying to help people reverse these conditions to where they don't need them. So my hashtag is literally less prescriptions, more living. So for 20 years, I did family practice medicine to where I did private practice, urgent care, and then telemedicine the last 3 years doing virtual primary care to see that, oh my gosh, so many people are struggling. This is a real issue. And they still are on a whole bunch of meds and don't look good. And I realized that wasn't the life I wanted for myself. And I wanted to help my people not have those same issues. So I ended up getting board certified in lifestyle medicine. And then I went further and got certified as a metabolic health coach under Dr. Ben Bickman. And I've been able to help so many more people need less meds and have results like Jim here. And it's made all the difference. So yes, I do this every Wednesday. We met a mutual friend that said, hey, come look at these natural products. And like some of you on this call or who are going to listen to this live later, before you guys even just shut us out, give it a chance, because just like you, I was sitting there thinking this is not real, this can't be true, and I had to do my research and I had to go look and do the studying for myself and understand the science. And after I did that, it became a no-brainer, and here I am every Wednesday with this guy here.
You know what? And I'm sorry for that part. I'm sorry that you got stuck with me every Wednesday. Hey, you know what? There's something that I need to give a little bit of. I need to give some propers. When propers are due, I got to give some propers, and I don't do it enough. That mutual friend, Amory, she saved my life. And that is from the bottom of my heart. She saved my life. And I know that because of her, a lot of other people's lives have been saved. Yes. So I don't know if she's even on here right now, if she's listening, or if she'll never hear that message at all or not. But she's very special to me because I genuinely, to a core, feel like she saved my life. Okay.
Yes. And so many other people. And she's just a wonderful lady. So yes, I'm excited that she's a joint friend.
and I guess to that point, if somebody has invited you to this live stream, they think that there's something in here that could benefit you. And they're probably not trying to be offensive or anything like that. They're not trying to sell you nothing. They're probably just thinking, hey, I think this could benefit this friend. And so listen, it's only an hour. We'll be done in 55 minutes. We'll be over with. And this is usually a pretty fun live stream. I feel like we're pretty cool peeps. At least Dr. Tiff is. And we're going to pack it full of lots of information. So here's the deal. If you have been tagged, if you have been invited, if you're on TikTok and somebody has shared this with you, or if you are on, Facebook and somebody has tagged you on it, if you're on YouTube and somebody shared it with you, we're here for an hour. If at the end of this, you should decide, hey, I'm interested in that, get with the person who invited you here and they'll tell you how to order the products. Okay. And then more than that, I want to encourage everybody that's in here right now. And we are across, by the way, today we're streaming on 15 different platforms. I want to encourage everybody that's listening right now, that's on the system, that's having an amazing experience, who wants to share this out. I'm going to encourage everybody that's listening to share with at least 5 people on whatever platform you're on. If you're on Facebook, type the little @ symbol and start typing the name. Their name will populate, hit enter. Or if you're on TikTok or YouTube, hit that little arrow share button and share it out. But let's get this shared out to 5 people. Dr. Tiffany, I don't know if you know this, week in, week out, I love to look at the analytics. I'm a data geek. And do you know this live stream gets over 20,000 views per month?
Shut up.
It is crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. And I have heard, and I'm sure you have heard the same, that this live stream, we've got people that are saying, thanks to this, whatever their turnaround is. So anyway, with that being said, I want to bring out my guest, Dr. Tiff.
That sounds great. Before we do, because, I know I talk so fast. And for people who didn't realize, we have this wonderful man here signing for people who are, hearing impaired. What a blessing to have him. But he's doing a job of 2 people and both of us get to going. So I wanted to give him his props. Thank you, Tony. We appreciate you.
You know what? And
you're welcome.
It just occurred to me that he signs whatever we say. And I could say something like, Tony picks his nose.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, man, I just found a new game. And this will be the last time Tony shows up here.
Like if you've ever seen the videos of comedians that realize, oh, there's an interpreter, and they say crazy stuff. And
that would be funny. Okay. Yeah, Tony, I was trying to find a lead into that. Dr. Tiff, thanks for taking it. We do appreciate you, Tony. And, last week we had a particular guest that actually was hearing impaired and was requested, hey, do we know somebody? And it happens to be that I'm become really close friends with Tony over the last few years, and I know that he signs. And so it was an easy invite. But then people at the end of last week's live stream said, bring him back. So he's here.
Yep.
So Is that really the sign for bring him back?
Just bring him back.
All right. Okay. So here we go. I want to bring in this guy is kind of special to me. And don't let that go to your head, Jeff.
I know it already, Jimmy.
Let me figure this out. I want to put you on kind of the highlight. There we go. Checkerboard here. All right. So this guy's kind of special to me. I've known him for about 4 or 5 years. This is my brother-in-law, Jeff. And honestly, 30 some years been in my life. And when we were talking about this, a lot like other people who are sharing this, they think about their family members, and Jeff was the first one to kind of come to our mind. And he's had an amazing experience. And brother, I just wanted to give you the mic, and I'm excited to hear this. So,
all right. Well, thanks for inviting me first. Hello, everyone. I'll preface everything by saying my story isn't quite, a life-saving thing or very dramatic, but, it was really important for me because I was at a bad place health-wise. So to start off, I've always been pretty healthy my whole life, and I played soccer my whole life. And about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, I got some injuries and I wasn't able to play anymore. And I immediately started to feel bad and gain weight and started to have issues. And before I knew it, I went to my doctor, and I was overweight, and my A1C was at 6.9. So we put me on metformin, and I also was on a statin for some cholesterol issues. And I was on that for a while, and then my sister and Jimmy were into this product and asked me if I'd try it. And to be frank, I was a little skeptical, as Jimmy will attest to. But I really wasn't feeling healthy, and so I said I'll give it a try. And I did, and I had some real, how do I put it mildly, bowel issues with it the first go around. And I struggled with because of that, I struggled with trying to be very rigid and regular on the program and doing everything that, you need to do. So frankly, I stopped for a while. And I think it was about, Jimmy, correct me if I'm wrong, about 6 months, 7 months ago.
It was right around Christmas.
Bro. Yeah, it was over the holidays,
we were
right?
Here in December.
Yeah. And, I was still on metformin. Nothing was really getting better. I think my A1C came down to, overall that time, came down to like 6.7. And I was still overweight, not feeling great. And I talked to Jimmy a little more about it, and I said, well, I really need to try and give it a shot this time and try and make sure that no matter what happens, I try and stay with the program. So I did. And within that 6 months, I decided that I was going to be on the program, and I was going to stop taking metformin and the statin. I didn't want to consult my doctor. I just said, you know what, I'm going to put my faith in it, and I'm going to stop taking the medications. Number one, I think I felt better immediately just because I wasn't taking the medications. But, my cholesterol stayed down without the medications, and my A1C actually dropped to 6.2 without the medications. And I've also lost,
which is, by the way,
pre-diabetic.
That's no longer type 2 diabetic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pre-diabetic, right? So, and I'm working on, hopefully getting that even lower. And like I said, I lost 30 pounds, not really even trying, just trying to eat healthy and doing the program. So I feel way better than I have in a while. I mean, yesterday I went and I did a 6.6 mile hike and felt great, so it's really good for me to be able to do those kind of things again and be able to feel like my old self again. So that's really my story. I think it's great. I'm going to continue, obviously, and my goal is to lose a little bit more weight and obviously get below the pre-diabetic level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to add to this, and I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but him hiking 6.6 miles, he is no spring chicken.
Thanks, Jim.
What? I was just saying, if he could do it, I'm just kidding. I love that, brother.
I love
that.
it. I love it.
So all the teasing aside, that was just an unnecessary jab, but I could because you're way over there. How do you feel? Just how do you feel in general? I've been really kind of beating this drum a little bit lately of, we have these, I think what makes this somewhat, oh God, how am I going to word this? I think what makes this somewhat, what makes people skeptical is for years and years and years, we were told that it's chronic and progressive, it's not reversible, and there's, you're going to take this to the grave. And now we know that it's reversible, but I think it's unbelievable to people. I think when they hear this, they think, no, that's not a believable thing, right? So I've been kind of trying to put this little twist on it of, okay, it is actually believable, but if that's the hard part that you're hung up on, let's just talk about energy. Your energy levels. How do you feel energy levels now versus when you weren't on the system? Have they gone up? I guess I should have pre-qualified this question because he could let me down, but how does your energy levels feel?
Well, I'm not going to let you down because I feel a lot better. Like I excited to get out and walk and hike, where previously I just didn't want to do it. I just kind of sit around all the time, which, I sit around for my job. So sitting around in my free time wasn't the best use of my time, especially since, I was, pretty good shape for most of my life and active, and really felt crappy enough that I didn't really want to do anything. Now I do. I want to get up. I want to go out and, like I told Mandy, that hike I did yesterday, I'm going to keep doing those, because when I come to Colorado, I want to go up in the mountains and I want to hike whatever trail I want to hike and not have to worry about not being able to do it.
Oh, I love that, brother. I really love that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But what I do like, what he said was in the beginning, he said, I don't have any miraculous story. Well, that's not what you said entirely, but that's kind of the gist.
Mm-hmm.
But you start where you are. So it's so important for us to see that, yes, this is where Jeff is, which is phenomenal. I mean, how many people have I wanted to reverse and get to pre-diabetes in practice on medication? So many people, and they didn't do that. So I'm one of those, I'm a big cheerleader. So I'm about to tell you, your results were awesome. Okay. So I still love them. But yeah, there's places to go, but I'm such a big fan in cheering on our wins. As small as they may seem to us, there's some people out there that wish they had your story too.
Yeah. Well, and I just want to emphasize that just 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that was kind of considered unattainable, right? Like this is something that I mean, it's taken so many people, so many of our important family members, our favorite, like I'm a Waylon Jennings fan, and diabetes took Waylon Jennings, and to know that it was completely reversible and it happened to you. I love that, brother. Okay. So what I want to do, Jeff, is the way that this works is I bring Dr. Tiffany in now to do kind of explain to us in Dr. Tiffany ways how this thing actually works, what's going on there. And so what I want to do is shut your camera off, but I'd like it if you kind of hung out backstage, and then I'd like to bring you back at the end of the live stream in case anybody has any questions for you.
Sure. Works for me.
Cool.
Thanks.
All right, brother. I appreciate you. Such a rock star.
Yes. I love his story.
Cool. Yeah. So, yeah. And I like what you said there, Tiff, that he feels like it's small, it's insignificant, but really there's a lot of people that want to be there.
Yes.
A lot of people want to be there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So. Yep. And I'm the one to celebrate. So if we're ready, I'm ready to go, because you know how much I love to talk about this.
It's not telling me that it hasn't popped you up. It hasn't showed. Oh, there you are. There you are.
Yeah. I was waiting on my go ahead. I didn't want to pop in and then you not be ready. So
we're just sitting here together. Yeah. I was looking at you. You're looking at me. We're both watching Tony making a bunch of. All right.
Well, okay. So the whole point is we have a real problem. Just like I said, I've been doing telemedicine for the last 3 years, seeing just how real this problem is. Only 7% of Americans actually have good cardiometabolic health. And that was by a Tufts University study back in 2022. So those numbers have not gotten better since then. Okay. Now, the medication that we as providers use to try to decrease the risk of heart attacks and strokes because of this issue only decreases that risk by 1%, 1 out of 100 people. So if you're listening, you thinking that's not helping that many people, right? But there are some lifestyle changes that if you actually incorporate them, you can improve your cardiovascular risk by 39%. Okay. And so, like I was saying in my introduction here, after practicing for so many years, for 20 years, I said so many years, I'm not that old, but for 20 years, I had people just like this lady on this slide here, holding a whole bunch of medications, to where I would say, bring your medications. And it was like they had to come in with a suitcase. No, literally. Sometimes I had people come in with a carry-on suitcase of all their medications. And I didn't love that. And I knew we weren't getting to the root cause. I knew we weren't really helping these people make changes that would be lasting. And so many people would say, oh, no, it's in my genes. This is what's going to happen to me. My mom had diabetes. My father had strokes. This is what's going to happen to me. So I'm just going to live life however. Well, I believe that our genes are like a land we are given, like an inheritance. And so how you take care of that land is going to make a difference in the crops you yield, in the life you yield, right? And then if you take care of that land poorly, you're going to have some crappy crops, for lack of a better word. And yes, I bring up this every time I talk about this because unfortunately, heart disease is still the #1 killer. So for my people who are listening saying, oh, but nobody's talking about this in the doctor's offices. What are they saying that's so new? Yada, yada, yada. Well, if the way we've been doing things and practicing for decades, if that was really working, this still wouldn't be the #1 killer. It still is. So there still is some changes we need to make in how we help people manage these issues and reverse them. And so what's at the root of all this? Actually, insulin resistance. And I'm going to go into all the detail about a lot of these conditions. And you see the conditions surrounding insulin resistance, heart disease, even some cancers, fatty liver, polycystic ovarian syndrome, sarcopenia, stroke, diabetes. And so, of course, some people may not even know what I'm talking about when I say insulin resistance. And you may just be thinking of something maybe your grandmother had to take or your mother, those injections they had to take. But I'll go into details. But if we identify the symptoms, then understanding what caused them is so important, right? So right now, these are the symptoms that so many people complain of when they're dealing with insulin resistance. And I'd love for people in the comments, in the chat, to talk about whether or not they're having these symptoms. If you have more than 2 or 3 of those, then you need to type yes, because if you do, you are dealing with insulin resistance. So cravings for sugar and salty, skin tags, those skin tags, that is not genetic. That's just not something you get because you've gotten older. That's because insulin can act like a growth hormone and make little flaps of skin. In fact, the dermatologists know this. The Journal of Dermatology, what is it? The Journal of the Association of Dermatology had an article, right? And I want to say that came out in 2012, but don't quote me on this. But they noted if you have more than 5 or 6 of this is actually related to insulin resistance. They know that. I had a patient that got her skin tags removed, and her dermatologist was like, they're going to come back. I mean, I can't promise you they're not, because they didn't get to the root cause. Just cutting them off, just using chemicals is not going to stop them from coming back if you don't deal with the insulin resistance. Okay, same thing with the dark patches on your neck. Same thing with that weight around the middle that is having a hard time going. Yeah, we got to get to the root cause. And so what is the root cause? Well, let's get back into the macronutrients. That's the food we eat and what it breaks down into, okay? So your carbohydrates, they are going to make your pancreas, which is an organ behind your stomach, its job, well, it has many jobs, but one of its jobs that we're going to talk about today is releasing insulin so that insulin can help get that glucose from the nutrients we eat into the cells to be used, okay? Now, there's a whole specific way on how this happens, but I think that simplistically explains that, okay? So when you eat carbohydrates, that breaks down to the largest amount of glucose. And so it would stand to reason that that's going to make your pancreas release a lot of insulin. It makes it have to do a lot of work. Well, when you eat protein, what it does is you don't have to have as much insulin because it doesn't break down into that much glucose. And then your healthy fats don't break into much glucose at all. So your insulin goes up mostly when you're eating carbohydrates, and then specifically your processed carbohydrates really kick that up into high gear. And so let's look at a sample day. So many of us were told that we need to eat every couple hours. We need to get 6 to 11 servings of carbohydrates per day. Many of us were told that, hence why we have a diabetic epidemic, hence why we have so many people struggling with weight, their sugars, is they're following those guidelines. Now, a lot of times we don't bring up these guidelines, but it's in the back of our head for most of us. So when you wake up in the morning, and insulin is going to be the lowest in the morning because you've been fasting all night, so you haven't been making your pancreas work. But when you wake up in the morning, if you start your day off with something that's carbohydrate heavy, maybe it's a muffin, maybe it's pancakes or waffles, okay? That's going to, or cereal. Yeah, cereal too. That's going to break down into glucose and make your pancreas have to release insulin. So that's going to cause a glucose spike, okay? And since your pancreas is like, oh, what is this? It's going to shoot up that insulin a little higher than it needs to. And when it does, that's going to make that glucose drop. And so that drop is going to allow you to start to feel tired again, get that brain fog, and you're wanting to have another snack a couple hours later. And what are you reaching for? Well, most of the time our snacks are carbohydrate heavy because that's what's in the vending machines. Those are granola bars. I mean, we're trying to be healthy with that, right? But it still breaks down into carbohydrates. And so that makes your pancreas have to release insulin again. And then at lunchtime, if you're eating a standard lunch, a standard American diet, that might be pizza, that might be a sandwich, that might be a wrap. And if you notice, there is a correlation with all of those. Carbohydrates, that's going to break down into glucose too. And your pancreas is going to release insulin again. And then we go to snacks, because now you got a slump in the afternoon, and then dinner, then your dessert. And what has happened all day, your poor cells have been bathed in insulin, okay? And so this little figurine here, this is an example of insulin trying to push this glucose molecule into the liver and the muscle and the fat cells, okay? And so your pancreas keeps pumping out the insulin every time you eat, and your cells keep letting that glucose in. But after a while, your poor cells are getting tired of letting that in. They're full. They're getting filled up. And so they start to down-regulate the receptors to let insulin push this glucose in. And that means they become resistant to this. And so the extreme case of this, when your cells are so resistant to now they aren't listening to insulin at all, now the glucose is high in the bloodstream, the first step is going to be prediabetes, like Jeff was talking about, to where your A1C is 5.7 to 6.4. And that's 1 out of 3 adults who have this, and 9 out of 10 don't know they have it. And then the next step is going to be your type 2 diabetes, where 1 out of 4 don't know they have it, but 1 out of every 10 people do have this. And that's the end stage of insulin resistance. But what happens when you go to the doctor and you have all those symptoms that we talked about before? Okay, the cravings for sugar, the salty, the difficulty to lose weight, and you're going to see your doctor. You're like, look, I know something's wrong with me. My mother had these same symptoms and she had type 2 diabetes, right? And then they check your A1C and your A1C is perfectly normal. Yeah, I like to call this the land of frustration, because not only are you frustrated, if you have a good doctor, your doctor's frustrated too, because they're trying to figure out, well, what is really happening with you? And in this space, the glucose isn't high in the bloodstream yet, because the pancreas is pushing out the insulin and stuffing the cells with that glucose. This is before the pancreas gets tired. That's what happens at type 2 and prediabetes. The pancreas is getting tired. And so it can't force that glucose into the cell, regardless of the resistance, regardless of the downregulation of those receptors. And so in this frustration place, it's stuffing it in just fine. So there's no glucose in the bloodstream, but you know what's high in the bloodstream because the pancreas is kicking it out? Insulin. Insulin is high. And when insulin is high, you get those symptoms on that last slide. But what it does specifically with blood pressure, when it's high, it allows your kidneys to hold on to sodium. And if I take you back to chemistry class, when sodium is high, water follows that. So that's going to increase the blood volume. And then you get hypertrophy of the inside lining of those blood vessels. Well, if that thickens up, that's going to make the opening of those blood vessels smaller. That's going to increase the blood pressure. Then you impair the nitric oxide production with this high insulin, and nitric oxide dilates the blood vessels. Well, if you don't dilate them with that increased volume, with the smaller hole, what are you going to do? Have increased blood pressure. Then high insulin also bothers your liver. Okay, what it does is it makes your liver increase triglycerides, and then it also makes your liver make more of those LDL dense particles. So there's buoyant particles. When you get your lipid panel checked by your doctor, that LDL-C, that's a calculated LDL ratio. We call it the bad cholesterol. That takes into account the buoyant particles and the dense particles, where your buoyant particles are like your beach balls. They're bouncing around in the blood vessel wall. They're not really causing much trouble. It's those small, dense particles that are getting into the cracks of the linings that are actually making that inside the lining of that blood vessel, making it smaller and eventually closing it out to where now you're having heart disease, strokes because of blockages, because of plaque formation. Then when that insulin is high, what it does to our ovaries as women, we develop cysts. It promotes weight gain. It causes trouble with facial hair, not just on the face, but even on the body, or even hair loss. But it disrupts our menstrual cycle. So PCOS, the polycystic ovarian syndrome, that is the leading cause of anovulatory infertility for women, meaning we aren't dropping eggs if we're dealing with this condition. And so we aren't able to have children for those of us who deal with this. And this becomes a real issue for so many women. What's so awesome with what we do with these natural products, we're actually seeing women be able to have children when they were told they couldn't. We're able to see women get their menstrual cycles back. We're able to see women get to enjoy their lives again, or something that gives them more purpose that they wish they could do that they're able to do now.
Dr. Tiff, I want to add to that we had Chelsea on here.
Yep.
It was a few months back, and she had PCOS. She had been told she was infertile, and she's got a beautiful little baby now.
So, yes, she does. Yeah, beautiful baby. And, you know, I don't have permission to be posting this picture everywhere, but he's in my phone. Now, menopause is a condition to where the insulin is so high that now it's messing with the testosterone. So you get more the conversion of the testosterone to a female-like estradiol, okay, estrogen. And so you get your man boobs, but you also lower the testosterone, and that plays a role with erectile dysfunction. So in the beginning, when I was talking about high blood pressure, the nitric oxide being impaired, nitric oxide, that's some of the medications we use to help with erectile dysfunction, because that is actually behind this also. So we see men who actually start reversing erectile dysfunction because they've improved their insulin resistance. And so that not only helps them, that helps save some marriages too. Okay, now insulin resistance.
And to that point, we had Randy on here a while back, and he talked about that.
Yes, he did, which was wonderful, because I have too many men that act like, I'm gonna pretend like that's not my problem, but it is. I know it is. So I like to talk to my ladies and be like, look, if we help them with their lifestyle, we can help not just you, but also help them regain what they feel like they've lost. And so the other part of this, when insulin resistance is high, it's messing with our function, our cognitive function. So dementia, the brain fog, even Alzheimer's disease has been called type 3 diabetes. The migraines tends to come from that up and down nature of those blood sugars because it's not stabilized. So with the right things, we can actually stabilize those numbers to where we don't have these symptoms either. And then I love how I not figured this out, but did research and understanding this a little bit more on how much that chronic inflammation really messes with our gut and even our autoimmune conditions. So I was seeing so many people, Jim, I've seen so many people with lupus, with rheumatoid arthritis, start to have some great symptoms with using these products, great reversal with using these products. And I was thinking, why? Well, insulin resistance is hugely related with inflammation. One, because one of the theories is that it starts at the fat cells, and at the fat cell, it actually makes those cells release interleukin-6, tumor necrosis factor alpha, and those are inflammatory markers. And so those markers come right along with insulin resistance. So you have this chronic inflammation, which messes with gut dysbiosis, so you have bacteria in your gut, trillions of them. That's the gut microbiome. Well, sometimes with what we've been eating, antibiotics, we've actually killed off the good bacteria, and now we have yeast there. And that inflammation does not make that any better. And then you have leaky gut because you have the wrong bacteria, or they aren't getting fed the right things. The theory is they kind of start eating at the gut lining. And so now you have permeability. Now things start to leak out. Well, our gut's job is to pull out the nutrients when we eat. So we don't want to lose anything outside of the gut. And anything that's toxic for us, we expel that in our stool, right? Well, when you have leaky gut, that stuff starts to seep out, and that's problematic. One of the other issues with inflammation is that it actually impairs our T cell function, which is supposed to tell us what not to attack. So if you have that all confused, you can see how this can be problematic. So since your body doesn't know what not to attack, and all this stuff is leaking out into your abdominal cavity, into your body, unfortunately, you get things like autoimmune conditions is when your body is attacking things, attacking itself, attacking the bone, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, the gut, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, the brain, multiple sclerosis. I mean, I can go on and on. And the reality is the medications we use for these conditions are literally shotguns. They shoot down the whole immune system. And so you have people that are taking medications that they don't feel good on. So I was in love with the fact that these people are actually getting some results by just taking some food back into their system. Really, it's just an herb and fiber, and it's bringing life, giving them life back. So I say all this, and it's like, okay, you tell me all of this. So what do? I'm gonna tell you the first thing that's easy to do: stop the processed foods. Nobody needs to eat this. This is nobody's friend. This is not serving any of us. Okay, and anything that's packaged, boxed, or barcoded has way too many processed things in there, chemicals, dyes, things to make it look attractive, right? That is not for us. And unfortunately, it's addictive. I mean, there's so many signs that people are dealing with addiction. They feel like they need to eat and snack all day long. They love to have the juice and feel like they can't make it through their day without it. They crave these things. And it's not because people have poor willpower. Okay, that's not what's going on here. But that sugar, it has actually been shown that that sugar kicks up dopamine, which is our neurotransmitter that feels great. That's what gets kicked up whenever we're doing something we don't have no business doing. If you're doing something that's way too fun, you know your dopamine is up. Okay. So when you're eating sugars, it's kicking up your dopamine. And when that insulin comes to bring those sugars into the cell and make good use of it, it drops it down, but it also drops your dopamine. And now you want to do it again. That's why you keep going back. That's why you feel like you can't stop from eating a whole bag of chips or the whole box of cookies, right? And then sometimes you're getting the cravings as if, you have to have them. Yeah, that's a real addiction. Now, is it on the same level as some of those illicit substances? No. But it's the only macronutrient that actually has this type of response. And then your carbs. Your carbs have been stripped of their fiber, especially in those processed foods, because I'm a firm believer that we had food here for us to eat the way it was made. Okay. The rest of the stuff that we've done to it has actually taken the benefit out from it. So losing that fiber, leaving us with the white sugar, the white rice, has actually hurt us significantly. We need that fiber back. And the reason why we do is because it decreases the blood sugar. It actually dampens the spike that I was showing you in that example day. It dampens that glucose spike, so it doesn't make your pancreas have to release so much insulin. So it gives your pancreas a break. And then it allows your cells to become more insulin sensitive, respond to the insulin appropriately, as well as blocking inflammation. So polyphenols are behind all these beautiful, vibrant colors in fruits and veggies, okay? And when we eat the rainbow of these things, get multiple sources of our fruits and veggies, that gives us more of the power to fight off this inflammation. And then fasting. Usually this is when people are like, I'm gonna see you later. She's telling me not to eat. But there are so many huge benefits in us just literally shutting down our gut and not eating. In fact, Dr. Osumi got the Nobel Prize for this in 2016 when he discovered autophagy, when he titled autophagy, really, that is self-eating. That's when your body actually starts to get rid of the toxins, decides to get rid of the broken mitochondria. So that way your mitochondria function appropriately. It starts to put things together that are already doing really great to make super cells and then get rid of all the broken stuff, the toxins, the viruses, the pathogens. Our body tries to heal itself. Now that starts when you fast for 16 hours and up to 72 hours. And you also see things like immune system improve. You see things like nerve system regeneration, which is huge because we always thought once you mess with your nerves, it's over. But we're seeing that actually that's not true. We have people reversing their diabetic neuropathy. We are seeing that on a regular basis, and I love it.
Tiff, I hate to interrupt you again, but I believe Tony had that to an extent. Did you not, Tony? Yep, that's what I thought.
And so when we look at this and we're thinking, okay, so can GLP-1 help? Because everybody and their mama knows about this. Well, we do have GLP-1, and GLP-1 tells our brain, really tells our hypothalamus, we aren't really hungry. But at the same time, it slows down how food moves through the gut. And that's a natural hormone our body makes. Well, Big Pharma figured this out and they made a drug to help diabetes, but they've increased the doses so much when they realize, oh my gosh, this really also helps people lose weight. And so Ozempic, Wegovy, Rybelsus, those are particular types of GLP-1 receptor agonists, meaning it binds to a receptor to pretend like it's your GLP-1 hormone. And so unfortunately, that comes with side effects, with baggage, I like to say. So when you do lose the weight, 40% of that weight loss is from lean mass. That's your bone, that's your muscle. And, I kind of need that. We all kind of need it, right? Because when I become 70, I want to be able to get off the floor, okay? Now, there's other serious complications. Thyroid cancer, pancreatitis, gastroparesis. That's when your gut, your stomach is paralyzed. That's a problem because we know we need to get that stuff through the system. We need to get all those toxins out. We need to get those nutrients. It can't just be sitting there, right? And gut perforation. We talked about leaky gut, how that causes a whole bunch of trouble with autoimmune issues. Yeah, we don't need a hole in our gut from a medication. And then one of the things GLP-1 does, even the hormone we naturally make, or this receptor agonist, it decreases the cravings. But unfortunately, after 2 years, what we're finding is that that what it does right here, that stops happening. So many people need either a higher dosage or another medication. And when you add more medications or increase the dosages, you get more side effects. And then with the weight loss, like we said, you lose the muscle in the bone. 40% of that weight loss is muscle and bone, right? But it also shuts down your ability to build more muscle, making it harder. Okay. So if I haven't made that very clear, the goal would be trying to do something to naturally boost our GLP-1 so we don't have to deal with those side effects. I'm not drug bashing for anyone, but if you're at a place to where you're trying to make a choice, I would be leaning towards more of the natural options because one, the two things we're using, one has chlorogenic acid in it. It helps reduce glucose absorption in the gut, which is good. That's huge because it gets it out the bloodstream. So our pancreas isn't releasing a lot of insulin. It helps improve glucose uptake in the muscles. We need that because we need our pancreas not to be fighting to release all that insulin, right? Decreases inflammation. We need that. That helps with the autoimmune stuff as well. And the oxidative stress that actually leads us into heart disease. So there's so many great benefits of having chlorogenic acid. Well, that's in the yerba mate extract that we like to drink, as well as ferulic acid that acts in the gut and makes this GLP-1 production even more. So with using these two, actually not even just the two, with using the Unimate, we actually see an increase about 70% in the GLP-1 naturally without the side effects. And then I talked about how we need the fiber, right? So that has the insoluble and soluble fiber in there. So when people are like, oh my gosh, is this just Bene fiber or Metamucil? No, those just have one fiber in them. They just have the psyllium. Great thing is you have insoluble and soluble with what we're doing, as well as a multivitamin to treat our microbiome. So it doesn't go eating itself, becoming permeable. So it doesn't get gut dysbiosis. All these things are done to try to heal our bodies. Help our bodies heal itself would be a better way to say this. So bottom line, insulin resistance is not genetic. It's 100% lifestyle. And I'm going to say this other thing too. I heard this at a talk and it was like, somebody said my diabetes wasn't in my dinner. It was in my DNA. No. Let me say this again. I wish I could have messed this up.
You almost got it. I was like, no, it was in your dinner. It wasn't in your DNA.
It wasn't in my DNA. It was in my dinner. That's what I was supposed to say. But anyway,
You were close.
Man. That would have been so cool if I did it right the first time. Otherwise,
no super woman today.
I know, whatever. I still am. And you can follow me on TikTok, Facebook, IG. I love what I do, mistakes and all.
You know what, Dr. Tiff? Let's see. I don't want to do this. There were so many things, and I didn't mean to keep on interrupting you, but I thought it was important that, as you're going through that list, this live stream, we've covered people every single week. We've got somebody on here, and we've kind of covered the gamut of people who have had some sort of a crazy, I don't know, healing. Is that the word I want to? I don't know what the word is,
Right. Because we want,
story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Story.
So I've been kind of beating a drum lately in some of my live streams, and it is this narrative that intermittent fasting can't be done for diabetics, right? Diabetics have to have food, 17 or 18 times a day, whatever the thing is now, right? It's kind of silly. Joslin Diabetes Center. We've all heard of Joslin Diabetes Center, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to share this screen. Let's see. Here we go. Joslin Diabetes Center. If you go to the about and then over to the history. So great institutions aren't created overnight, and Joslin Diabetes Center is no different. We're proud to have the history that's over a century in the making, beginning in 1893, when our founder, Elliot P. Joslin, MD, first developed his interest in diabetes care. 1893, that's 132 years ago, right? The reason I bring that up was in 1916, Dr. Elliot Joslin would write of the treatment of diabetes mellitus. And so we're now 109 years ago. And he would write that temporary periods of undernutrition are helpful in the treatment of diabetes, will probably be acknowledged by all after these 2 years of experience with fasting. Dr. Joslin was talking about that well over 100 years ago, and we go to Joslin Diabetes Center. Now, Dr. Tiffany talked a lot about the chlorogen or the GLP-1, and she touched on chlorogenic acid and theobromine. And I kind of wanted to just play around with those. I've got a little bit of extra time. Dr. Tiffany talked about briefly Dr. Ben Bickman. Let me pull up his page here, wherever it's at. You've seen my screen. I've got about 37 windows open, right? Where is this at? There it is. Got it. Here, Dr. Ben Bickman. So this is his profile on BYU's website. This is cell.byu.edu. This is Ben Bickman. He is a professor of cell biology and physiology at Brigham Young University. And moreover, he is in charge of their laboratory of obesity and metabolism. And he pays particular emphasis to the etiology of insulin resistance. And Tiff, it's the smallest things that kind of perk my interest. If you scroll down here and just look at the courses that he's taught, I mean, good Lee, geez.
Mm-hmm.
He's taught a lot of courses. And they're all basically on fat cells and insulin resistance. And you'll see things like metabolic diseases. These are his publications. These are peer-reviewed publications on topics like metabolic disease, glucose intolerance, biomarkers of metabolism and glycemic control. So why do I bring that up? Well, the first product that we really use is Unimate. Let me pull this out. I got a whole stash of things today. Unimate. So Unimate is available in 3 different flavors: lemon, lemon ginger, and the all-new Fierce. And I'm just going to ask the question. Hello, Mr. Strauss. I'm going to ask the question to anybody who's in the audience. Have you tried Fierce yet? Tiff, do you like Fierce?
So I'm not a ginger fan, but
Okay.
all the awesome benefits, you'd be a fool not to use it. So I still drink it.
So lemon tastes like an Arnold Palmer, I think. And lemon ginger, now that I think about lemon ginger, I think it just tastes like an Arnold Palmer with a little love tap of ginger heat on the back of your throat, right?
Yeah.
And Unimate Fierce, they claim there's lemon in there. I don't see, it's no longer a love tap. It's a, you're gonna feel it. It's hot. Actually, I'm drinking it right now. I love it. The reason it's so hot is there are 35 milligrams of gingerols in there. It's actually a therapeutic level of gingerols, and it's amazing. If you've got inflammation issues, Unimate is already amazing for inflammation. But you want to talk about zap the inflammation, okay? Now back to Dr. Ben Bickman. Let me share my screen again. This study right here, by the way, this is PubMed Central. It's NIH. It's an official website of the United States government. It's a .gov address. This was published in October of 2023, and it was on our product, Yerba Mate extract or Yerba Mate supplement. You'll see that it was Dr. Ben Bickman. And if you just scroll down a little ways, you'll see in the methods and materials, the mate was ours, Unicities. Now, what this study really found was that it basically made us a more efficient fat burner. Says a doctor who literally grows fat cells for a living all day long. And that's his doctorate in that. Like, this guy is about as good as they get globally right now. And he says that our product makes you a more efficient fat burner. Now, an observation that he made during this study was that it also increased GLP-1 production. The very thing that Dr. Tiff was talking about, GLP-1, well, Dr. Ben Bickman says that our tea, Unimate, increases GLP-1. Oh, I got the wrong tab. There we go.
That I'll be sharing at a meeting in March in Las Vegas is that this yerba mate supplement called Unimate also increases GLP-1. We found in this experiment we did, the GLP-1 levels went up by about 70% in a fasted state, which is pretty considerable. That I'll be sharing at a meeting.
So 70% increase in GLP-1 during a fasted state. Unimate, he said all of that right there. So we've really got something that's quite different. Now, I want to kind of beat a drum that I've been beating pretty heavily lately, and that is statin medications. My brother-in-law mentioned that he was on statin medications. Now, this is, again, from NIH, PubMed Central. This is what they call a systematic review, and it was published in July of 2023, assessing the link between statins and insulin intolerance. Now, if let's just be clear. Let me pull up another image real quick. If insulin resistance is kind of the root cause for all of these, and by the way, I got this image from Dr. Bickman's website, insuliniq.com. If insulin resistance is the root cause for all of those, well, we certainly don't want insulin resistance. Well, this study right here, assessing the link between statins and insulin intolerance, this looks at all of the research that's ever been done. The included studies had a total of 46,728,889 participants. The findings suggest that the use of statins is associated with a decrease in insulin sensitivity and insulin resistance. This systematic review provides evidence that the use of statins may have an adverse effect on insulin sensitivity and increase insulin resistance. These findings may have important clinical implications for individuals on statin therapy, especially those at risk for developing type 2 diabetes. So let me just build on this a little bit. Dr. Tiff, remember this book?
Mm-hmm.
I went and got the actual book.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the deal, guys. This book right here. Doc, will you tell them what this book is?
It's the physician's desk reference. And I used to get one of those, like, it felt like it was like every month, those big old huge things. I had shelves of those books, but it told us how to prescribe, the dosaging, the population of people that would be better for, and the side effects. And so you had all your prescription drugs in there. I mean, you can look up lisinopril, metformin, but you don't see a lot of nutraceuticals in there. It's going to take a lot to get something like that in that type of book. And
here we go. So
right.
It is now available in digital form. So this is the book that I put up was the physician's desk reference. This is the prescriber's digital reference. It's part of the physician's desk reference suite of goods. Okay. And in here, you can look up things like Lipitor, which I love looking up, right? Lipitor, that is the top prescribed statin in the United States right now. It's also generically sold as atorvastatin calcium. It's a big one. There's a lot of people that are on that. If we just start going down to the drug summary, I want to just point this out. If you go down to the adverse reactions, you'll see under the moderate adverse reactions, diabetes mellitus. It's there. It's there. And you can do this for rosuvastatin. You can do this for simvastatin. It's kind of a well-known thing. Now, while I'm here, I want to look up Metamucil in here. And of course, Metamucil, I put a little thing in there just for fairness. Metamucil, no results found. And just because I'm going to put in Lipton iced tea, it's silly, but we're obviously not going to get any Lipton iced tea in here. But if we put in Unicity, you will see 19 different products in this catalog, including Balance, which is our fiber. Now, if you go into Balance, look at the full prescribing info, you can look in here. There are no contraindications. There's nothing like that. This doesn't interact poorly with your medications. You can take this with your medications. It's perfectly safe. Now, what makes Balance so special? If we go to Google and just ask Google, what is the top heart hospital? It will tell us the Cleveland Clinic every single time. In fact, that will bring up this article right here. It's U.S. News and World Report, best hospitals for cardiology, heart, and vascular surgery. They gave them a 100 out of 100. Now, I always like to be fair. In 2024, Statista did not rank them as number one. They ranked them as number two behind Mayo Clinic. So whether we're number one, whether we're number two, it's safe to assume that the Cleveland Clinic knows a thing or two about cholesterol. So let's talk about Balance. What is Balance? This fiber supplement. This is the product page for Balance. And what it is a patented blend of 7 different plant-based fibers and a multivitamin. And that little thing right there, that multivitamin, is really what was a game changer, adding the 7 different plant-based fibers with that multivitamin. If you look here, you'll see it's got both soluble and insoluble fiber. That's a big deal. But it's also got vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E. It's got a full B complex, B6, B9, B12, folic acid, or B9, calcium, zinc, chromium. It's got the full package. Now, why am I kind of beating on that drum? Well, because this study right here was published in September of 2002. It is a double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized clinical trial. It was peer-reviewed. It was published, and it's been cited 20 times. It was published in Metabolism Journal in 2002. It was done by the Cleveland Clinic. This is that study in full text. It's about 5 pages. It's an easy read, but you'll see it is done at the preventative cardiology section of the Cleveland Clinic, the top heart hospital in the United States. And I just want to read this line right here. By the time of the interim visit, which was 4 weeks after randomization, the treatment group demonstrated significantly lower LDL-C than the placebo group. That trend continued through the next 4 weeks to the end of the blinded phase. Significant reductions. And you could go over here and see right there, LDL, significant reductions, total cholesterol, triglycerides, the ApoB. There were just improvements across the board, so much that they concluded such a product, if taken regularly, could reduce cardiovascular risk on a population basis and potentially decrease the need and or dose for lipid-lowering prescription drugs. And that's just a mouthful. And so I always like to break that down. Such a product, they were talking about balance. If taken regularly, we take it every single day, could reduce cardiovascular risk. That is heart disease on a population basis. That is everybody. And potentially decrease the need and or dose for lipid-lowering prescription drugs, aka statins. The very things that we now know cause the freaking problem. So rereading that just with my little verbiage inserted, balance, if taken regularly, could reduce heart disease for everyone and potentially decrease the need and or dose for statins. Cleveland Clinic, 2002. So how does this work? How do we do this? The tea, with all of its benefits. When you drink it, as my brother-in-law said earlier, you just get energy. You feel amazing. When you drink it, you're going to just feel like you can tackle the world. Brain fog's going to clear. All of these amazing things. It's awesome. Now, in addition to that, we've got Dr. Ben Bickman's research suggesting it increases GLP-1 by up to 70%. This thing costs $2.25. $2.25. And we drink 2 of them per day. That equals $4.50. I would argue that you cannot go through a Starbucks for $4.50.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that. These 2 will last me 5 hours of drinking. Okay, they're amazing. Now, before we eat our heaviest meal, oh, by the way, we drink those while we're fasting. Before we eat our heaviest meal, we mix up a balance. Okay. The balance is going to help. I think Bamagal, the unicity doesn't help control the cholesterol, only the balance. So the Unimate, actually, there is what do they call it? Anti-lipidemic effects. Is that the right word, Dr. Tiff?
Yep.
Chlorogenic acid actually has anti-lipidemic effects as well. So yes, Unimate does that as well.
Yep.
Balance is just, that was really what balance was developed for. So they actually kind of tag teamed that problem. Bama gal, hope that answered the question. Balance right before your heaviest meal of the day, and by heaviest we mean the one with the most carbs, you drink one of these. So if you have 2 of these per day, that's $4.50. If you extend that out over a month, which is how we buy it, 30 days at a time, that's $135. The kit costs $159. So that means this cheap insurance, $24. If you try this consistently for 90 days, Unicity guarantees your money. What they're guaranteeing is that you're going to lower your A1C, your cholesterol, your blood pressure, your body weight. They guarantee it. If it doesn't, if you're not happy for any reason whatsoever, ask for a refund. I look over, I forgot to point out, they are in here. I already did say that, 19 different instances. So now they accept HSA and FSA. There is absolutely nothing to lose, every single thing to win. So with that being said, did I miss anything, Dr. Tiffany?
I don't think so.
If you want to order the product, get with the person who invited you here. They will share their link. It's done through referrals. When you order, you'll get a referral link too. And every time, I'm going to add this too. Every time you refer it out, you'll get a $10 product credit. So if it costs $159, if you refer it out, your next purchase will be $149. It's a great way to help your friends and family get healthy and reduce your cost of doing so at the same time. So let's spread the word. If you want to get the product, get with the person who invited you here. I'm going to bring Jeff back, and we're going to be quick. I did not see any questions other than Bama Gals.
No, there was a question, and Bama Gal, I'll call you tomorrow, so I'm going to make sure you're clear. But yeah, both those products work in tandem, just like Jim said. There was a question saying, if you do the fasting, will you get the same results? And so you actually went into this with your studies, showing how the products actually made us more efficient with our fat burning. They actually made the mitochondria more efficient. That's more than what you're going to do with just fasting, eating vegetables and fiber. Now, I want my people to do all those things too, because I believe using these products and making all the lifestyle changes make a difference between moving like a snail and like a cheetah with your changes. And the other part, boosting GLP-1 by 60 to 70%. So yeah, the fasting is going to help. The protein is going to help with GLP-1. This just amplifies it. That's how I like to look at what these
It's just the afterburners. I mean, you're already going fast. You start doing things. If you make those lifestyle changes, we should be exercising more. We should be eating better foods. We should be doing all of those things. Do them. If you are doing them, apply these. It's only going to make it better. If you aren't doing those, apply these because you need all the help you can get, right? So, okay, Jeff, my brother-in-law, buddy, we got no time at all. We're at the end of the hour. I'm going to ask you a question. I love asking this question at the end of the day, at the end of every one of those live streams. There are a lot of skeptics out there. They're looking at this like it's some sort of snake oil. They've been bitten in the past. You've got 30 seconds to address them. What would you say to that person?
Well, I'd say I was one too. Definitely had my doubts. But there's really nothing to lose. I mean, if it didn't work, then so be it. But in fact, it does. And I feel way better that I at least gave it a shot.
I love it. And I think this is just proving that we don't just, Dr. Tiff brought her brother in here a few weeks ago. We don't just talk the talk. We actually walk the walk. We talk to our family members about this as well. My mother's on it. My mother-in-law's on it. Mandy's on it. Jeff's on it. So our family's on this product. It is, and I would say without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, this saved my life. So, all right, Jeffrey, Dr. Tiff, you got any closing words?
Well, you know what? So as a physician who tried to get my people to do the lifestyle changes that we talked about, that was the biggest problem, was the consistency and it being sustainable. The other thing these products allow people to do, it allows my couch potatoes who have no desire to get up. It allows my people who are ashamed to go to the gym to work out, knowing they need to work out, to have something to get them to a place to where now they're comfortable in doing these things. At the end of the day, I get what I always wanted from my patients with these products. And so it doesn't matter what place you are in your life. We're seeing some people have great results, and it becomes, do you just want to be better or not? Is it worth trying for 90 days to prove us wrong? That's only you can answer that question. But I have so many people that say, yes, it is. And I do it again.
Love it. And I can't get Bama Gal out of my head. So I've actually happened to have two studies queued up. I'm going to go to them really quick. Let's see. This one right here. Bama Gal. And you can put into Google, you can type in PMID 3646-5648. That will bring you to this study right here. That's PubMed ID 3646-5648. And you will notice chlorogenic acid improves glucose tolerance, lipids metabolism, inflammation and microbiota composition in diabetic mice. And then after you've done that, you could also go over here to PubMed Central and put in PubMed Central ID, PMC ID, PMC 3766985, roles of chlorogenic acid on regulating glucose and lipids metabolism. There's a little bit of homework reading for you. Go and check those out. Now, the reason I bring up chlorogenic acid is our Unimate is very, very high in chlorogenic acid. In fact, I am unaware, it's hard to validate this, but I'm unaware of anything that has more concentrated chlorogenic acid in it than this. So it's at least 20 times the chlorogenic acid of a typical cup of yerba mate and 10 times the chlorogenic acid of a typical cup of coffee. So You can get it, and this kind of plays into whoever that was that asked that question. Couldn't you fast, eat vegetables and fiber? You could get that chlorogenic acid by way of normal chlorogen or by the way of normal yerba mate, but you're going to be in the bathroom a lot, peeing. So 20 cups. Actually, to get 2 packages, 40 cups of yerba mate, you'll have to drink in a day. So that's it, guys. Get with the person that invited you here. Thank you guys for joining us. Brother Jeff, thank you very much, my friend.
Peace out.
Tony, I appreciate
Thanks,
you.
Jim. Thanks, Tony.